Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I have like 5 or 6 meditation books next to me, ones I have not read today. I just have kind of a pile that I keep going now for the videos over here. And then I have another pile that I read when I get up during the day, or get up for the day in the morning. So anyway, look at my new Starbucks cup that I got, you guys. I'm so excited. It came in the mail today. This is the Halloween Starbucks tumbler. So excited. Anyway, let's get right into this. It is a good day today. It is my husband's grandma's, his abuela. It is her 89th birthday, you guys. And she is just such a force of inspiration for me, you know. When I see her, and she's always like out with us, she always gets dressed nice, and she comes out to dinner with us, and she has her little Corona or Modelo or something. She loves to drink beer or have a glass of wine, and then in the evening, and she'll have like one, you know, or two, maybe, and then she'll like make a pot of coffee, and then, because she knows I'm like the only other one that drinks coffee, so she and I will sit there and drink a cup of coffee. And she's just such an amazing woman, and she's just such an inspiration for me. And to see somebody at 89 keep going and just, you know, live their life and be around their great-great-grandkids, she takes care of them, you know, on a regular basis. And she's surrounded by her family, you know, and I just, it makes me just even want to live longer and enjoy my age as I get older. I think sometimes in life, you know, we're so afraid of getting older, and I don't really have so much of an issue getting older. I have an issue with time going by, and I talk about that in my vlog a lot, you know, that I would just like time to stop sometimes and just enjoy the moment. Yesterday was the 10 years, I'm looking at Boo and Tucker right now, 10 years since we brought them home to our house. I cannot believe it. And I showed a picture on my vlog last night of what they looked like the day that we brought them home, because it showed up on my Facebook, and there's kind of a funny story behind it, you know, but sometimes I'm just like, I just want time to stop right here, but I don't really have an issue getting older. I thought I would be the person that would, you know, want to have a bunch of plastic surgery done and Botox and all that before I even knew that Botox existed, you know, back in the day. I thought I would be the one that would have to have like the eye surgeries and the facelifts and, you know, color my hair forever and all that kind of stuff, and I have absolutely no issues with that stuff whatsoever. And if you know any of my personal history, my father was a reconstructive surgeon. So, you know, I kind of grew up around all of that. But like, I don't feel the need to do that. My husband really enjoys all of that, the aesthetics, and he gets Botox, and he proudly gets Botox. And, you know, I've had Botox, I think I've had it twice, maybe 3 times. And after that, I just was like, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And it was the same time that I decided, you know, that like, I was gonna let my hair go white completely, because we had gotten back from getting married, and during our honeymoon, I had let my beard grow out. Well, my beard grew out salt and pepper, and my hair was dark. Now, my hair started turning white when I was about 23, 24. Sometime it started turning white, and I colored it ever since then. So it was really hard for me to let go, and I was having a conversation with my dad one day, and, you know, it's interesting being what he has done all his life, that, you know, he's not anybody that's ever had any of that done either, you know, and he's like, no. And I was talking to him one day, and I said, you know, do you think I should keep on coloring my hair? You think I should shave my beard? Because I either had to shave my beard and color my hair, or color my beard, or let it all go, if that makes sense. Because it was like dark white, and it just didn't look good. And he said, I think you ought to just let your hair color go. He was like, you know, Pete, he calls me Pete. He was like, you know, Pete, he was like, just age authentically. He was like, it's just so much less to worry about. I do think there's a huge double standard in our society when it comes to men and women. You know, my mom used to say to me, her hair was platinum blonde her entire life, and, you know, she was very specific about getting her nails done and things like that, or doing her nails and whatever. And, you know, she would say to me, I think I just want to let my hair grow out white and gray. And I'd say, okay. And she'd say, do you think it'll age me? And I would say to her, yeah, I think it's going to age you 10 or 20 years. And I will say that's the thing, is that when I let my hair go white, you know, it's white now, but it was like when I first started letting it go 8 years ago right now was when I started growing it. I can't believe it. All these anniversaries, you know. And I had no idea this is what I was going to talk about when I got on here today. But when I started letting it grow out, I had a hard time with it. And my hairstylist at first, she was like, I don't believe your hair is really that gray and white. Well, after about 2 haircuts, and it was almost completely gone, you know, she was like, I really can't believe that it is that gray and white. Because she was like, I've colored it for so long for you, I can't believe it is. Now, I'm saving about $60 a month in hair color. But, you know, like, it's just nice. And some of the things that are crazy that I would never have thought of is, like, I worried for 20 years of my life about swimming in a chlorinated pool or being out in the sun because it affected the hair color. If you get your hair colored, you know what I'm talking about. And being able to go out in the sun and not have to worry about that anymore was, like, so relieving, you know? And it was weird. And it was like, I don't know, and I don't drink, and so, you know, and I don't do any hard drugs today because I'm in sobriety, and it's like, I don't have as many lines, I think, as some other people do, because maybe of the drinking, I think it does do a lot of that, you know? I also think when you're heavier, like I am, it hides the lines a little bit, and maybe there will come a day that I want to get some stuff done. I'm not opposed to it. But today, I'm okay with aging authentically, and I don't really have a problem with getting older, you know? It's not the getting older part that I have an issue with. It's the time going fast, you know? And so I see her, and I see her at the baseball games, and I see her at the family barbecues, and I see her drinking her beer, and she goes out with us on New Year's Eve, you guys, to New Year's Eve parties, like big, huge parties, and gets all dressed up and dances and everything. 89, you know? What a life. I think that's so cool. So she inspires me, and you know, I think that it's important for us to look at inspiration all around us. I think sometimes it's hard, you know, I think we look at people that are elderly or that are older, and we kind of treat them like children sometimes, because often they're in positions where, bless you, Boo Radley, often they're in positions, you know, where they're like in assisted living programs where they can't take care of themselves, you know, but to think that they've lived a whole life that was very similar to ours. So they had a whole life, you know, they had a youth, they had their partying nights, and they're going out, and they had their, you know, Netflix and chill or whatever it was at their time, you know, and I think that there's a real respect that needs to be there for that as well. It's also in us learning, you know, something from those people. I always ask my elders, and I say that because I was raised to treat my elders with respect. You know, and I talked about this on the vlog before. It's like when I grew up, we didn't say like John down the street or so-and-so. We said Mr. and Mrs., you know. My dad's partner, who was his best friend the entire time I was growing up, I called him Dr. So-and-so. I mean, if I saw him today, I would call him that. And my neighbor, who I told this story, was my detox nurse. I didn't even know she worked in a treatment facility. She ended up being my detox nurse, and I walked out of my room the first day, and there she was. I went through detox with her, went through treatment with her, ended up working next to her for 13 years, you know, and still to the day that I left, I called her Mrs. So-and-so, and just saw her at the bookstore like 6 months ago or something like that, and I went up to her and I was like, Mrs. So-and-so. She goes, Peter, I think that we've been together we've known each other long enough that you can call me by my first name, and I just can't, you know, and I think it's that respect of that. And the other thing I like to do is not put somebody down and be like, you're so old, can you help me? But, you know, to go to them and say, like, you know, when we got married, you know, I asked friends of mine who had been married for 20, 30 years and said, what's the secret to your marriage, you know? It was interesting to me, the things that I heard. I had a friend of mine that recently passed away. He was 83 when he passed away. And a lot of people don't understand this advice that he gave me, but it was great advice. And he said, you know, one of the things that we've agreed on from the very early on is that, you know, divorce is not an option. And one of the things that he said to me that was fantastic, and I don't think I've ever said it from this point of view, but he goes, you know, you're going to go through a lot of hell in your relationship. He was like, you know, bad things going to happen. He was like, you know, you're going to become consumed with other things or other people. And so is he. And it happens in every marriage. And he said, you know, but if you continue to look at your marriage, and I'm not talking about abusive situations, toxic situations. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the regular run-of-the-mill marriage. You just have basic problems. And over time, the problems combine the problems, and you become comfortable with each other. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, what happened to our marriage? You know, he said to me, he said, he and his wife decided very earlier in the marriage that divorce was not an option. We could make it through anything. When Alex and I heard that, we didn't necessarily agree that divorce was not an option, but we did agree, we did agree, okay, right when we got married, that whatever we had to go through, that we weren't going to just give up and walk away, that we would go to counseling, that we would sit in counseling until things were resolved, that we would continue to work through things, you know? That we weren't going to just give up the first problem. You know, Alex and I both came from families of divorce, and so for us, it would have been real easy just to use it as an excuse and walk away if the times got tough. And the times did get tough, and the times have gotten tough. And one of the things that was great that we did, that we surrounded ourselves with, were that we surrounded ourselves with couples that were a little bit older, you know? My aunt and uncle, his aunt and uncle, you know, and looked at them as role models for that. our friends Melissa and Jason, Tanya and her husband, you know, and our friends in my life and our friends in his life that, you know, we have a lot of friends that are couples today that gave really good advice to us. I think that it's important for us to have mentors. It's important to have people that inspire us. It's important to have people that we look up to and ask them for advice, to ask them for life advice. Hey, you're real successful at this. What should I do differently, you know? It was interesting, I was talking about this on a vlog not too long ago, sometime last week, this guy that I worked with, and I was trying to figure out his age difference, and when I was working, I was in my late 20s, he was in his late 40s, he's got to be 20 years older than me now, which means he's almost 70, you know, and I worked by this guy side by side every day, and such an amazing man, and he was kind of like my work dad, so to speak, you know, and he would always give me advice, and I remember I said to him one time, if you could give me any piece of advice that you wish you had taken when you were younger, what would it be? And he said, I wish I would have bought a house when I was younger. And I said, of all the advice you can give me? And he goes, yeah, I do. He goes, you know, it's great to rent. It's great to have money. He goes, but I really wish I had bought a house when I was younger. He was like, because it's like you have equity in this house. You can do whatever you want to do with it. You can sell it. You can like put that money into something else. And, you know, I thought about that piece of advice. And he gave me like 3 or 4 pieces of advice that have really stuck with me through the years, you know. I feel blessed today to have many mentors in my life, you know, mother, sister, brother, father type mentors that I look up to, you know, and they all speak to me in very different languages, you know. One of the things I've learned over time is that my father, who is in his late 70s, he just recently turned 79, that when I ask him for advice, he loves me enough to give me the advice that he knows will help my life today. Not to sugarcoat it, not to whatever. He gives me advice that he knows will help me today. So when he gives me advice and I ask, I listen because I want to have the best life possible. And I think all of that is about respecting the people that have gone before us, the people that have lived lives before us, and respecting their advice and what they have to give us. And they have just vast knowledge, you know? I think life experience is probably one of the most valuable natural resources we have, and yet we throw it away so quickly, don't we? In our youth, we think we know better. And we do. We all do, right? We don't know that we think we know better until we're older, but we all say that. You know, it's like, oh no, I know what's best for me. My dad said to me one time, and I've shared it on here too, is, you know, that my dad said, I wish I could show you all the successes I've had and all the mistakes I've made in my life. And then if you follow the advice that I gave you, you'd have the most amazing life. You know, you would have more money than you ever wanted to have. You know, wouldn't have to worry about this. You'd have a great relationship, on and on and on. He goes, but I know that you have to make your own choices and you have to learn from them. We all do, you know? And, that was where the decision tree, I was talking about this in one video, the decision tree came out. He explained the decision tree to me. And basically the decision tree is, you know, you make a decision, and the decision is like, should I take this job or that job? Well, it's one tree or the other tree, right? So you go over this tree, and then you go up the tree, you know, the main part, it's like, okay, well, when I'm there, do I want to do that? Do I want to be, you know, like, I'm just making up, you know, examples, but doctor or nurse? Okay, I'm going to be a doctor. Well, what kind of doctor do I want to be? There's 5 branches, right? So you got to pick. And then, okay, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do emergency medicine, right? Well, am I going to do emergency? What kind? There's all different kinds, right? So decision tree is that you branch off until you've like made these decisions. Anything in life is like that. You know, any decision that you have to make in life is like that. You have options. Don't always rush into things. Sit down, talk to people that have gone before you. And, you know, people ask me all the time, what's one of the best pieces of advice that you would give yourself when you were younger? A, that anything is possible. B, there's always somebody that's gone before me and done it. There's always somebody out there that I can ask, you know? One of the things that has been really interesting to me in life is whether it's with my writing, whether it's with my relationship, whether it's with my past careers, whether it's with YouTube, whether it's with whatever, you know, whenever, and specifically writing was like this. I would reach out to writers and I would say, I love your art. Like, I love what you do. Can you tell me a little bit how you do it? Like, do you outline? I mean, I was very specific. Like, do you outline? Do you do this? Do you take notes? What do you do? There's hair on my always. But anyway, and they would say to me, you know, like, thank you for reaching out to me. They were always so nice. I think there was only like maybe 1 or 2 instances where nobody responded. And I'm talking, I reached out to like 10 or 20 people that I consider friends of mine today. And they all told me what they did, you know, and they all did different things. And some overlapped and some didn't. And so I would take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and what was natural to me. And it was nice to hear people that had gone before me and how that worked. Whatever you want to do in your life, reach out to somebody that does it successfully, somebody that you think does it successfully, and reach out to them and say, hey, this is something I'm wanting to do. You know, I want to be a crime scene investigator, or I want to be an attorney, or, you know, I want to be in retail, but I want to be at the top of my game in retail. Whatever it is you want to do, reach out to somebody that's done it before you and say, like, could you give me some suggestions? Could you give me some advice? So, you know, those are the things that I have learned by looking up to the people that have come before me. One of the things I have noticed, though, of all the people that have gone before me that are extremely successful is that they take advice from people that have gone before them. And so I hope that I continue to do that for the rest of my life. I'm not going to read any meditations today, actually. Let's open the Daily Book of Positive Quotations and see if today's is like really powerful. If it is, and we'll read it. In closing, September 6th, let's see what it says. Oh no, it's called Bad Memory. No, we're not gonna read that today. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that just a little conversation that we had today. I love you guys. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.